Olivia and I grew up together in the same children's home. We knew each other, understood each other, fell in love, and stayed in love. Not long after she gave birth to our son, her biological parents found her. Just like that, she became Olivia Prescott, the sole heiress to the Prescott fortune. Our son, Carter, began his elite education and took the Prescott name. Years later, when I handed Olivia the divorce papers, she looked up, annoyed. Why? I answered quietly, because last night, the dinner I cooked got cold. You'll walk away with nothing? Don't be impulsive. Carter would never go with you. Olivia's eyes didn't leave her phone screen. Her company was about to go public. I used to be proud of how she'd changed, but now all that was left was a hollow ache. I'm giving up custody of Carter Prescott. Before all this, all we had was that tiny apartment. That's the only thing I'm taking. Mentioning the little place we used to share, Olivia's expression softened slightly. Are you still mad that Marcus Vance drove me home yesterday? He's just a business acquaintance. Right? A business acquaintance who knew she was married, but relentlessly pursued her anyway. I didn't say anything, just looked at Olivia. It had been a long time since I'd had the chance to really see her. Her makeup was flawless. The pink diamond earrings she wore worth more than we used to spend in several months. In just a few years, everything had changed. She saw me shake my head and asked again, her patience wearing thin, why? I repeated, my voice flat, because last night the dinner I cooked got cold. Before the Prescotts found Olivia, I was a full-time writer of short stories. My only hobby was cooking. Olivia had studied finance. Her starting salary was low, and the work was grueling. She often skipped meals. Every day, I'd pack a lunch and take it to her office. She always said it was the best food she'd ever eaten. After the Prescotts found her, Olivia insisted on keeping her first name and refused to divorce me. I continued to prepare 3 meals a day for her, just like always. The first year, she told me she wanted to eat my cooking for the rest of her life. But a few years later, she was being carried home, drunk, by one of her admirers. I took her from his shoulder and tried to get her to eat something. She looked at the food I'd made with disgust. We have a chef, Ethan. You don't need to make all this every day. Then, I asked you to come work at the company. Why didn't you? Are you always this idle? I never liked business, so I wanted nothing to do with the Prescott empire. Carter was very attached to her. He'd only come downstairs to eat when he heard her voice. I offered him the food, but he shook his head. Why won't you eat? I asked. Olivia thought my tone was too harsh. He prefers fine dining, not home-cooked stuff. What's the big deal? With his mother backing him up, Carter shoved the bowl hard. It shattered, and hot soup scalded my arm. Olivia just held Carter close, comforting him softly. Then she glanced at me. Just have the staff clean it up. I'm tired. Seeing the confusion in Olivia's eyes, I didn't bother explaining further. In her world now, perhaps only the flow of millions of dollars counted as significant, and Carter couldn't care less about my feelings. He'd been in top-tier schools since he was little and had more than once daydreamed about a more impressive father, a man who was a titan in the business world, not someone who liked puttering around in the kitchen. Only in the bright light of day did Olivia notice the burn on my arm. She called Carter over. Daddy got hurt last night. Go and make him feel better. Carter excelled in debate competitions, but in front of me, he rarely deigned to speak. I never had a father, and I thought showering my son with affection would earn his love. But it turned out I had no talent for it. Carter just stared at me coldly. After a few mumbled dadas when he was a baby, I never heard him call me dad again. You're not good enough to be my dad, he'd once said. Olivia tapped Carter's nose playfully, a mock punishment. That old apartment is pretty rundown. It'll take some time to sort out the paperwork. You can stay here for now. She added, you always loved that set of chef's knives I got you, didn't you? They'd be hard to take. I packed my things last night. Just one suitcase. If no one's using the knives, just throw them out. After I said it, I almost laughed. The Prescotts had their meals catered or prepared by a private chef. If it weren't for me, this house wouldn't even need a kitchen, let alone an expensive set of knives. Are you going back to the old neighborhood? Olivia asked. I'll have Henderson drive you. I refused. Looking at mother and son, I managed to smile. You two are allergic to a lot of things. Get the family doctor to run some tests and let the chefs know. With that, I turned and left, not once looking back at the two people I had once loved more than anyone in the world. I didn't go straight back to my old place. Instead, I went to St. Michael's Home for Children, where I'd grown up. Olivia and I had talked about visiting, but the Prescotts probably didn't think it was a respectable enough place for her, so the plan kept getting postponed. For years, I donated a portion of my writing income to St. Michael's. The director recognized me the moment I walked in. She didn't know Olivia and I had divorced and started reminiscing about her childhood. Olivia and I grew up there. She was a year younger than me, and we were both tiny back then. The director suddenly pointed to the kitchen. Even as a little boy, you were always watching the cook, wanting to try your hand at it. Olivia hated garlic. At the home, kids couldn't afford to be picky eaters. But later, whenever I cooked, I'd secretly leave out the garlic for her. The director's unexpected memory sparked something in me, and I volunteered to cook lunch that day. I built up the fire, chopped vegetables, and simmered soup. A few kids gathered around, chattering excitedly. A guy who can cook is so cool. It smells amazing. I want to be a chef when I grow up. I give you 10 stars. Amidst their praise, I remembered the first time I met Olivia's parents. She was more nervous than I was. When they heard my profession was writer and my hobby was cooking, if it hadn't been for their ingrained upper-class reserve and their guilt over their long-lost daughter, they would have practically shown me the door. Olivia's father had only said, "Utterly useless." A gentleman keeps his distance from such things. News traveled fast in their circle. Olivia suddenly had a host of new friends and relatives. Every guest who came to our home and saw me cooking would tease Olivia. "Your husband is quite a catch, actually knowing how to cook." Marcus Vance would also frown with concern. "Olivia, doesn't your husband smell of food after cooking? Can you even sleep well at night?" After enough teasing, Olivia couldn't hide her embarrassment anymore. But she still tried to spare my feelings, telling me gently, "When friends come over, let's have the staff cook." And it's not like the Prescotts can't afford a chef. Carter picked up on it too. My dad is not just some stinky cook who only knows how to make food. And you're so embarrassing. My dad should be a hero. I stayed at the children's home for a few days before returning to my old apartment. Suppressing the memories that surfaced at every turn, I started clearing things out. When Olivia was found, the Prescotts had told us not to bring anything. They had everything Carter could possibly need. Everything in the old apartment was frozen in time from that day. I thought we'd hit the jackpot, but it turned out to be the moment my beautiful dream shattered. After clearing out Olivia's things, I slept, waking up well past noon. I found over a dozen missed calls on my phone, all from Olivia. As I was scrolling through them, an unfamiliar number called. "Hello, is this Carter Prescott's father?" "This is Carter's homeroom teacher. He refused to eat the cafeteria lunch today, saying his father usually packs it for him." The voice paused, then continued politely. "Did you perhaps forget, with it being the first day of school?" I frowned, not understanding what Carter was up to. He attended one of the best private elementary schools in the city. The cafeteria prided itself on both taste and nutrition. Besides, he'd brought back the lunches I'd packed for him untouched several times. "Hello, Ms. Evans. He doesn't need my cooking. I assume the family chef will handle his meals from now on." I added coolly, "And I'm no longer Carter Prescott's father. You can contact his mother directly about his affairs. Please don't bother me again." Perhaps the teacher had me on speakerphone. Carter must have been standing right there, hearing every word. I heard a startled cry from the other end. "Carter, don't run off." The teacher quickly apologized to me before hanging up. I tried to remember my own childhood. I didn't think I'd had such an unpredictable rebellious phase. But Carter's emotions, actually, had always been fairly stable. His grandparents didn't want him around me and insisted on taking him every summer. Carter's attitude towards me grew progressively colder. At first, he'd ask, "Why do you always do servant's work? Don't you think you're wasting your time and talent? Why can other uncles fly airplanes while you only cook at home?" Later, he stopped talking to me altogether. I learned about his school assignments through the class parent portal. He didn't care, and the Prescott elders were happy to see Carter detached from me. I hung up and went to the mall. As I was busy comparison shopping, Olivia called. "What did you say to Carter?" "He's refusing to eat." A pause. "Can you come back? He still needs you." Then I heard a low male voice in the background. "Let's take Carter to that new steakhouse my family just opened." Olivia seemed to move away from him, her voice clearer when she spoke again. "That was just a business partner. Do you know where my allergy medication is?" The chef didn't know I'm allergic to carrots. I could hear a hint of grievance in her voice. "Eastside, frustrated." "Olivia, if you can't find something, order it on Amazon or have a staff buy it. That's faster than waiting for my call. I told you to have the doctor test you and Carter for allergens precisely to avoid this kind of situation." Olivia was silent for a moment. "Can you send your recipes to the chef? Great-Grandpa Prescott really misses your cooking." Then, in Carter's school projects, "Are you not going to help anymore? I'm usually so busy at the office." Mentioning Great-Grandpa Prescott made my heart soften. He was the only one in the Prescott family who truly supported me and genuinely loved my food. But I didn't want any more entanglement with them. You can find home-style recipes all over the internet. Olivia, the boy never really accepted me as his father, and you know it. I'm starting a new life. Please, don't any of you bother me anymore. Let's just go our separate ways. I hung up before she could finish and then blocked her number. Thrown off by the interruption, I lost interest in looking at kitchenware. An inexplicable exhaustion weighed me down. I took a shower and fell back into a deep sleep. Perhaps too much had happened recently. My dreams were weird and chaotic. I dreamed I was back at the children's home, in a corner hidden from the teachers, enduring silent bullying. I saw Olivia, whom I was protecting, desperately trying to fight back for me. I remember the night Carter was born. I'd never been religious, but I knelt outside the delivery room, praying to trade my own years for her safety. I woke up in the middle of the night. A heavy rain was falling outside. Rain always seems to write poetry from memories. I thought of that winter night during my sophomore year of college. I was coming out of the library. Olivia ran up to me, her face flushed red against the backdrop of the fresh snow. She handed me a roasted sweet potato she'd been keeping warm in her pocket, telling me to eat it slowly. I bit into something hard. It was a small, handmade ring. Olivia's eyes sparkled, brimming with an unstoppable love. "Let's give each other a home," she'd said. Not a single, "I love you," but it was the most beautiful sentiment I'd ever heard. Later, I bought a real ring, a tiny diamond carrying all my love. I proposed to her on a day we went back to the children's home to visit the director. After that, I wrote like crazy and bought this small apartment. We lay in our own home, whispering sweet nothings, lost in each other. For seasons, 3 meals a day, 2 people, 1 roof, we were lovers and more than that, family. When we found out we were having a baby, we hugged each other and cried tears of joy. Olivia was under a lot of pressure. After getting pregnant, she was practically forced out of her job. I gave her all my earnings from writing, so she wouldn't have to worry about money and could focus on the pregnancy. She worried about me typing too much and developing tendinitis, so she'd massage my hands every night. I swore to myself I'd work even harder to protect them for the rest of our lives. When the baby was almost due, the doctor jokingly asked, "Do you want a boy or a girl?" I wanted a girl, preferably one who looked just like Olivia. I'd give her all the love and warmth, making up for the bleak childhoods we both endured at the home. The birth of a son didn't disappoint me much. A boy would be great too, I thought. He could grow up and help me protect his mom. A month after Carter was born, Olivia told me her biological parents had found her and wanted her to come back to them. She'd been abducted as a child. The Prescotts had never had another child, dedicating their lives to finding her. I was genuinely happy for her because it meant more people in the world loved her. But this love became overwhelming. Gradually, Olivia didn't need me by her side anymore. She had to take over the Prescott family business, which meant unavoidable attendance at various galas and frequent networking with business tycoons. She stopped liking her light citrus perfume and switched to something more expensive and sophisticated. Marcus Vance appeared when Carter was 4. The Vance and Prescott families became very close due to business dealings. They often had to attend events together. I once brought this up with Olivia because I noticed we were spending very little time with Carter as a couple. She dismissed it. Carter isn't like other children. He understands. When I pressed further, Olivia accused me of overthinking, of not being considerate. Business dealings are unavoidable. Don't be so insecure and read too much into it. That phrase, insecure and read too much into it, left me speechless. I once wrote a short story where the male protagonist casually let his secretary accompany him everywhere. Olivia had cupped my face and planted a deep kiss on my forehead, full of her warmth and her pure, passionate love. "If you ever act like that jerk," she'd said, "and let someone else get that close, you're sleeping on the couch." I grinned and promised to obey. The rain outside gradually lessened. Dawn was breaking. I returned to the life I'd led 3 years ago, writing, working out, and continuing to hone my cooking skills. One day, while I was in the shower, someone knocked on the door. I wrapped a towel around myself and opened it to a stranger. "Mr. Miller, hello. I'm the chef responsible for Ms. Prescott's and young Mr. Carter's meals." My first instinct was to shut the door, but he quickly stuck his foot in the way. "Sir, I've come to learn from you. Ms. Prescott and Mr. Carter haven't been eating well. They've both lost a lot of weight. And the old Mr. Prescott, he's very ill and wants to taste your cooking again." I took a deep breath and wiped my wet hair. "You don't need to call me sir. I'm not your employer. And guilt-tripping me won't work. If you harass me again, I'm calling the police." He sheepishly pulled his foot back and went downstairs. Just as he left, an unfamiliar number called. "Ethan, your son is fussing, demanding your fried rice." It was Olivia. "It's a good thing you put up those bumper guards on the stairs." Carter was running around and hit the corner. "And his reading tutor, how did you get him to listen? None of the tutors can manage him. And great-grandpa, he's sick. He misses you terribly." I once swore I would never let Olivia have the chance to sound so desperate with me. But hearing that pleading tone in her voice, all I felt was endless annoyance and disappointment. For years, I had prepared 3 meals a day for them. I ignored the whispers and stares, never believing that housework was a burden only women or staff should bear. I only knew that love was about thorough care, regardless of gender. I'd track Olivia's menstrual cycle, prepare warm broths for her beforehand, and text her to have pain relievers ready. When Carter had his seasonal fevers, I'd make him medicinal soups and rush to his school to give instructions. During all this, Olivia would be too busy in meetings to reply to my messages. Carter would complain to his grandparents that I embarrassed him by coming to school and saying he was sick. The delicious food I made for great-grandpa Prescott would be dismissed by others as my scheme to curry favor with the Prescotts. When passion is extinguished by time, only exhaustion and indifference remain. Olivia, we grew up together. You should know what kind of person I am. We're adults now. We should understand what it's over means. I don't get why you and Carter are suddenly acting like this. Is it just that you're not used to the change? Have some dignity, some self-respect. Set an example for your son. Don't bother me anymore, and don't make me lose respect for you. Silence on the other end. I had no patience left and hung up. The Prescotts continued to bother me intermittently. I was tired of these pointless overtures. It wasn't that I was very important, but rather that they occasionally found me very necessary. No one is indispensable. The world keeps turning. This clear realization made me decide to sell the apartment. I'd use my savings to see the world, to explore different cuisines. North, south, east, west, I wanted to taste it all, to discover the cultures behind the food. In the Prescott's eyes, caring about food seemed to be something shameful. At a family dinner once, I quietly suggested to Olivia that we could take Carter to try different regional specialties. Olivia frowned. His coding classes are fully booked. Don't get bad ideas. If he wants to eat something, we can just send someone to buy it or hire someone to make it. Her father, Mr. Prescott Sr., scoffed, obsessed with eating all day. What good can come of that? The husband you found is rather common, I see. Olivia said nothing in my defense. Carter didn't want to sit next to me either, running over to his grandfather. Our Carter is going to be different from ordinary children. And Olivia never offered a word of explanation for me. The girl who once said marrying me was like finding a treasure now seemed to find me an embarrassment. But now, I was unburdened, free from family obligations. All that remained was an anticipation for the varied flavors of the future. The apartment sold quickly. I packed my bag and just left. I used to think that cooking only made me happy if it was for Olivia and Carter. After everything, I realized I simply love cooking, love the anticipation of a dish coming together. Seasoning, tossing the wok, stir-frying, every step was an act of warming up to life. I also started a food channel on YouTube, attracting a large following with my cooking skills and, admittedly, my looks. My first stop was New Orleans. This city, awakened by the aroma of gumbo, moves at a fast pace but is always willing to pause for its incredible food, letting out satisfied sighs. I wandered the city until late at night and found a little hole-in-the-wall joint. The owner was incredibly friendly, a towel around his neck, sweat beading on his forehead despite the cool evening. He asked if I could handle spicy. I nodded. Yes, I like spicy. The moment the spicy sausage pasta hit my tongue, I knew this level of heat was beyond me. I coughed uncontrollably, tears welling. A few locals at the next table handed me a bowl of something creamy. I took it and swallowed down the spicy tears along with the bisque. It felt like my whole soul was being steeped in a hot spring, utterly revitalized. Later, I traveled while live streaming my culinary adventures. My subscriber count kept rising. Eventually, I made my way to Montana. The people there were very interested in my story, and I cooked them some of the dishes I'd learned on my travels. I became so popular that I was invited to participate in a local summer festival and rodeo. The vast prairies set the stage, colorful banners fluttering in the wind. People from all over sang unfamiliar songs together and danced different styles. Finally, as the bonfire blazed, food became the main event. I felt the profound connection between food and the land, learning local dances from the ranchers. At the feast, lights twinkled from the distant mountains, dotting the night sky. Tears fell from my eyes, unnoticed by anyone. I had once fantasized about coming to a new place with Olivia, seeing different landscapes. But now I realized I could do it alone. No restrictive expectations, no time limits, just boundless freedom. I lay down on the prairie with the locals, feeling the wind brush through my hair, like a lover's clumsy kiss on my brow, smoothing away all loneliness. The world was wide, and full of possibilities. A few years passed. My food journey reached a natural pause, and I returned to St. Michael's home. This year was the director's 60th birthday and also the home's anniversary, so a charity fundraiser was planned. I not only took on a role of head chef, but also helped organize the fundraising event. The children here adored me, and they especially loved my cooking. While playing nearby, they found an injured puppy. The director initially didn't want to keep it, but I stepped in, saying I would take care of it, and that it could also teach the children about compassion. The director sighed, shaking her head. You just spoil them. The children's cheers nearly drowned me out. That night, before bed, I found my doorway piled high with candy. They had also gone from casually calling me Ethan or Mr. to, one day, unanimously calling me Dad. It was both amusing and touching. Having grown up an orphan myself, I understood their longing for love. One day, a corporate sponsor arranged for the children from St. Michael's to have a free day at an amusement park. Several staff members, myself included, chaperoned. As I was queuing for tickets, a commotion erupted behind me. The children were actually fighting. I hurried over and heard them arguing. Dad is my dad. You can't just call him that. Who are you? You're the one who shouldn't be calling him Dad. I'm Carter Prescott. Stay away from my dad. I'm his real son. Liar. Dad's last name is Miller. Your last name is Prescott. You're just a big fibber. I hadn't seen Carter in years. He was much taller and thinner. It was only when I heard those words that I recognized him. I separated the children, my voice stern. Who started it? Tell me. I rarely lost my temper, and my tone made the children lower their heads sheepishly. Carter, looking guilty, came over and tugged at my shirt. Dad, I started it. They were calling you Dad, but you're my dad. I gently removed Carter's hand from my shirt, crouched down to look him in the eye, and said seriously, regardless, hitting someone is wrong. You know basic right from wrong, don't you? He ignored my question, his eyes turning red. I don't care. Dad, don't you want me anymore? I frowned, wondering what was wrong with the Prescotts, how they could have neglected their son's sense of responsibility so badly. I stood up and scanned the area. Olivia was standing a short distance away. Ethan, he's missed you terribly, she said. Her makeup was still perfect, but it couldn't hide her exhaustion. When Olivia and I first separated, I'd imagined what it would be like to see her again. I thought I'd be overwhelmed by emotions, that I'd be agitated or tearful. But now, in this moment, I felt nothing. Looking at Carter, still glaring at the other children, I just felt a sense of trouble. I asked the kid from St. Michael's if anyone was hurt. A little girl named Lily raised her hand timidly. Dad, the little bamboo person you made me got broken. Carter became even more agitated. Dad made that for me. No one was seriously hurt, which was a relief. I contacted the lead teacher. I told Lily I'd make her an identical bamboo figure, and a bigger one as compensation. Lily, satisfied, went off with the others. Carter was still making a scene. Olivia couldn't manage him alone. I walked over. Carter, it's been years, and you've disappointed me greatly. Carter, clearly not expecting criticism upon our reunion, froze. I continued, looking at the boy before me. You were wrong to hit someone, and even more wrong to break someone else's toy and refuse to apologize. Most importantly, you lied. You threw away that bamboo figure. Don't you remember? The bamboo figure was a toy the director had taught me to make. I made one for Carter too. One morning, I found it in the trash can. The housekeeper told me Carter had said it was unwanted junk that needed to be cleared out. Yes, I'd forgotten back then. He could have any new toy on the market he wanted. A flicker of guilt crossed Carter's face. His voice trembled. Dad, I was wrong. This child, for whom I once held such boundless hope, whom I prayed would grow up healthy and strong, a man who could protect his mother alongside me. The child for whom I'd stayed up all night when he was sick and Olivia was busy. Now, he weighed less in my heart than any child at St. Michael's. Perhaps he understood the coldness in my eyes. He backed away, retreating behind Olivia. I returned to St. Michael's to prepare dinner for the children. Olivia and Carter actually showed up at the dining table. I didn't prepare dinner for you. You'll have to sort yourselves out. Olivia looked hurt. Is it so difficult to add 2 more bowls and pairs of chopsticks? I replied, St. Michael's budget is tight. You know that, don't you? Olivia fell silent, rebuffed. Carter stared intently at the other children's plates. The director, guessing what had happened over the years and sensing the tension, quietly called me aside. She told me that the children's recent outings and activities had all been sponsored by the Prescott family. The smiles on those children's faces for the past few days were indeed worth me cooking a meal for them. Considering that mother and son were allergic to many things, I simply boiled some egg noodles for them. Carter ate quickly, finishing his bowl in a few bites. Olivia, however, just stared at her noodles, not touching them. Carter looked wistfully at her bowl. Mom, if you're not eating that, can I have it? He asked twice before Olivia reacted, clutching her bowl tightly. No, this one's not for you. This bowl is Mommy's. No one can take it. Summer's at St. Michael's, to save on electricity, the children all crowded into one air-conditioned room. Carter wanted to sleep next to me. Dad, a lot of the stories he used to tell me, I can't find them online. The mouse who stole the corn. Did he ever make it through that big gate? I gave him a bewildered look, wondering if this kid had been possessed. Why was he suddenly interested in those stories? I remembered a family dinner years ago. Carter had wandered off. I went looking for him and found him with Marcus Vance. They were holding hands, looking like a real father and son. Uncle Marcus, your adventures are so cool. Way more interesting than the stories my dad tells. I should be your son. Marcus had chuckled, his eyes full of sincerity. Sure, if your mom agrees. Carter's fists clenched. Mom will definitely agree. She probably thinks that other man is useless too. These memories intruded unpleasantly. I made a shushing gesture at Carter, ignoring his hurt expression, and motioned for him to come outside with me. Other children were trying to sleep. I found Olivia. Is your little experience life at the children's home charade over? Olivia, you came from a place like this yourself. You know these teachers don't have it easy. With you two here, they have to spend extra energy looking after you. Don't be so selfish. Take Carter home. It must be hard to explain this to your parents anyway. And don't come back. Olivia looked at me steadily for a moment, then took Carter's hand and started to leave. Carter clung to my leg, yanking free from Olivia, who stumbled and fell. He rushed to help her up, then burst into heart-wrenching sobs. Dad, do you really not want us anymore? Don't you love Mom and me? I sighed, exasperated. Carter, you were the one who didn't want a dad first. I turned and walked away, not looking back at them, ready to face my own life. The staff at St. Michael's knew I loved cooking and secretly entered me into the Master Kitchen Showdown competition. When I found out, I thought it was hilarious, but I also wanted to participate to see how much my skills had improved over the years. Attracting more public attention to our children's home was also one of my goals. The highest level of culinary art requires only the simplest tools. I brought the walk-in utensils from St. Michael's and dived right in. Perhaps because of my years traveling, my understanding of food had become more precise. I actually made it to the finals. The director and the children were in the audience, cheering their hearts out for me. The final round's theme was memory. Contestants had free reign. Looking at my cooking tools, many images flashed through my mind. Mr. Miller, a host asked later, can you tell us why your winning dish was such a simple-looking bowl of fried rice? The competition had many sponsors and naturally garnered widespread media attention. Facing the countless spotlights, I answered, the children at the home don't have much, but they all love fried rice. I believe many people feel the same way. Glancing around, I saw Olivia and Carter in the audience. I continued, looking straight ahead. The first time you tasted fried rice, the person who made it for you must have been very special, someone worth remembering. After the interview, I was surrounded by the children, all chattering and calling me Dad the hero. I smiled, walking out of the venue amidst their cheers. A reporter captured that moment. It became the next day's top trending story. My dad, the kitchen king. Carter didn't even get a chance to hand me the flowers he was holding. Olivia called my name several times. I just flashed her my medal, turned, and walked away with a flourish. After all that, I found myself back at the Prescott family estate. Great-Grandpa Prescott was gravely ill and craved a bowl of my simple dumpling soup. Although I wanted nothing more to do with the Prescotts in the face of life and death, other things seemed trivial. Mr. and Mrs. Prescott Sr. sat opposite me, looking somewhat awkward. Ethan, thank you for coming for Great-Grandpa. Great-Grandpa Prescott had also loved to cook and had defended me in public many times. If his health hadn't failed him, he would have wanted to cook himself. I didn't pay much attention to Olivia's parents and went to Great-Grandpa's room. His eyes were cloudy, but he recognized me immediately. Ethan, what took you so long to come see me? I went over and took his hand, smiling an apology. Great-Grandpa was silent for a moment, then asked, is there no chance for you and Olivia? I didn't want to hurt the old man, but I didn't want to lie either. No matter what, you'll always be the grandfather I respect. He sighed heavily. Actually, Olivia regretted it a long time ago. And Carter, he's a good boy, but his upbringing was flawed. Hearing these reassurances now, I felt no ripple of emotion. I changed the subject. Grandpa, would you like your dumpling soup thick, or? Great-Grandpa suddenly gripped my hand, a faint light flickering in his cloudy eyes. Do you still love Olivia? If you do, I'll use every last bit of strength this old body has to help you get justice for all the wrongs you suffered. I looked at this frail old man, still trying to salvage an unsalvageable love for his descendants. Grandpa, I once loved Olivia very much. I consider them more important than my own life. Great-grandpa Prescott murmured, fate plays cruel tricks. It's our Prescott family that wronged you. You're a good man, Ethan. The sound of breaking glass came from outside the door. It was Olivia, who had tried to bring in a glass of water. She looked pale, a few strands of hair falling across her forehead as she turned and left in a daze. Finally, the old man sighed and told me to make the soup thin. In his day, he said, they didn't have many thick soups. As I was leaving the Prescott estate, Marcus Vance was smoking by the gate. He'd always looked down on me, and now his disdain was undisguised. What's so great about you? Why is Olivia still hung up on you? I shrugged. That's between you two. Seeing my indifference, he seethed, grabbing my collar. You just walked away and left her alone. That time she got drunk, she was still calling your name. Marcus, that's enough. This is between us. Olivia's voice cut in. She stood in front of me. Marcus threw down his cigarette and stormed off. The scene felt strangely similar to one from over 20 years ago. Only back then, I was the one protecting her. Life is fleeting like a dream. All things flow like water. Olivia steadied herself and smoothed her hair. Ethan, it's not just Carter. It's me too. We can't live without you. I keep thinking if I hadn't gone back to the Prescotts, would we have been happier? She grabbed my arm. Ethan, come back. Please, I'm begging you. You must still love me, don't you? I calmly stepped back. I already told Grandpa. I don't want to repeat myself. In all my memories, Olivia had never looked so defeated. Her lips trembled, tears welling in her eyes and silently streaming down her cheeks. When she first joined the Prescott family, she was under immense pressure. I was there with her, helping her analyze everything. After her showers, she used to love resting her head with her long, damp hair on my chest, quietly listening to my heartbeat. I, too, believed love could last forever. It turned out to be just a fleeting bloom. Olivia had indeed lost a lot of weight. I gently pried her fingers from my arm. Her wrist was so slender, I felt it might break with a little more force. How can you prove you don't love me? Ethan, don't lie to me. I didn't think it was money that had corroded our love. It was just that money brought too much, made people feel like opportunities were limitless, so they no longer needed to cherish what they had. Over the years, I had been like a dish, from piping hot to leftovers. It wasn't time that changed, but our hearts. I looked her straight in the eye and asked, why should I have to prove anything to someone who won't be in my future? Later, I returned to St. Michael's home. I continued my food live stream and spent my days with the children. My top supporter, Big Fan 01, was always the first one in my chat when I went live. I checked his profile. It was as clean as a new account. On New Year's Eve, I made dumplings. I asked my viewers to guess the filling. I emphasized they were for myself, that I had rather quirky tastes. There were many guesses, but no one got it right. Big Fan 01 left a comment. Just pickled relish and sharp cheddar. Then they quickly went offline. That comment confirmed it. It was Olivia. As the clock struck midnight, I shooed all the children off to bed. I went outside to look at the snowman they'd built, taking pictures to remember it. Car headlights illuminated the drive. I then noticed a tall figure and a smaller one standing in the snow. No idea how long they'd been waiting. Happy New Year, Dad. I didn't take the gift Carter offered, nor did I show any interest. He grew anxious, opening it to show me. Inside was a container of dumplings. Dad, Mom, and I made these ourselves. We even needed the dough for the wrappers. Olivia also spoke, her voice hesitant. Try them. It's your favorite. And there's a bowl of noodles, the way you taught me. The taste is... I glanced at it and said flatly, this food is already cold. I'd said those words when we divorced. Olivia understood what I meant. The moonlight on the snow cast a pale, ghostly light on her face. She wanted to say more, but the past was gone, like spilled water that couldn't be gathered. Carter looked distraught and didn't want to leave with Olivia. He was forcibly pulled back into the car by Prescott family security, but was still shouting, Mom, you're a liar. You said if we cooked for Dad, he'd come home. He struggled desperately, banging on the car window. Dad, I was wrong. I was wrong, Dad. The car drove away, but his wails still disturbed the children, who hadn't really been asleep. They rushed outside, surrounding me with worried faces. Dad, if you want to go back to your own family, we all support you. The children at the home were mostly sensitive in a way that broke your heart. Looking at their eyes, shining in the moonlight, I hugged them close. Dad isn't going anywhere. This is Dad's home. I'll always be here for you. In the distance, Brilliant fireworks lit up the night sky, scattering blessings everywhere. Families sitting together, warm lights, the simple rhythm of 3 meals a day through all seasons. I would no longer grieve for lost springs or autumns. My life had no regrets. Carter's story, the thing I regret most is saying those words to my father's face. You're not good enough to be my dad. After I said it, his eyes were calm, without even a flicker of disappointment. Later, I threw countless tantrums in front of my mother, demanding she bring Dad back. Even though our household never lacked for staff, no one could ever make food that tasted the same, and no one would ever treat me with such meticulous care. Though I was still young, I could sense acutely that this absence would bring me unbearable pain. After that New Year's Eve, I stopped pestering my mother to find Father. I knew that, like me, she had been permanently shut out by him. I ran to my grandparents, demanding to change my last name back to Miller to share my father's name. My grandparents, however, thought Father had put me up to it and wanted to cause trouble for him. Only then did I realize that from my very surname, my life had been locked into a predetermined path. I started to study desperately to grow up as fast as I could, longing for the day I could be independent and find Father again, to prove I was no longer that ignorant child. But Father was ruthless enough not to leave me any chance. The year I turned 18, Father collapsed at the children's home. Mother arrived at the hospital before I did. I held her and noticed how much more gray her hair had become. If not for me to lean on, Mother would have likely crumpled to the floor, completely drained of strength. The doctor came out and shook his head at us. In that moment, I clearly understood. Mother and I would have to numb our pain with memories for the rest of our lives. Mother's face was ashen. The confident air of the CEO of a publicly traded company was gone. Her back was stooped, and she asked, almost in a whisper, "What, so suddenly?" He was still so young. The doctor removed his mask and sighed. Did the patient suffer a head injury in his early years? A hematoma, causing pressure, only manifesting now. Mother's whole body began to tremble violently, and she nearly fainted. She was unconscious for 3 whole days. When she woke, her hair had turned completely white. Only later did I find out that years ago, during a stormy season, Father had been in a car accident on his way to the hospital to bring Mother food. His head was cut open. To save a little more money to ensure Mother had nutritious food and could recover well, and also to avoid worrying her, he had only gotten the wound hastily treated. That injury, years later, became the bullet that struck Mother and me in the heart. Mother's mental state deteriorated rapidly, and she retired from managing the company early. I asked her where Father's ashes were kept. She said they should be buried with the old director on the hill behind the children's home. That was Father's true home. Marcus Vance, after being rejected by Mother countless times, chose to go abroad to expand his business empire. I took over the company from Mother, and only then did I have the freedom to truly understand Father. Father never knew that after that Master Kitchen showdown, Mother bought the bowl of fried rice he'd made and took it home. After his divorce from Mother, he never lacked for admirers, but he never remarried. I think he truly gave all his love to Mother and me, and because we didn't cherish it, he was unwilling to try loving again. Mother bought back the small apartment they once shared, paying a high price for it. Disregarding my grandparents' objections, she settled there. The previous owner gave her a diary, asking her to keep it safe, hoping to return it to the original owner if he ever came back. When Mother chose to end her life with pills at 45, I found that diary in her hand. Only then did I discover it was my father's. Many pages were filled. A few entries were circled in red by my mother. Olivia gave me this diary. I'll treasure it. Olivia confessed her feelings for me today, said she'd give me a home. I'm not alone anymore. Olivia's pregnant. I'm going to be a dad. Gotta crank out those pages, give her and the baby a better future. The Prescott estate is huge, but my love for Olivia is bigger than the universe. Olivia and Carter don't need me anymore. I've decided to leave. The diary entries stopped abruptly there. Below the last one, my mother had written a single line. Ethan, I'm sorry. I'm coming to find you. And from that day on, my life had no path home. I became a child with no father and no mother.